A giant awakens in Germany. Hyundai joins the Squid Game. And we ask, is the health and safety executive actually fit for purpose? All that and more on the Weekend Wrap. So, at the beginning of the week, we brought you a very brief trailer video that Hyundai had released ahead of its dealer conference. That film featured more than a few nods to the Korean TV series Squid Game that has been a breakout hit on Netflix this year. Well, now Hyundai have released a film with even more Squid Game references, together with a look at some of the company's very latest machines. Now, the film I'm about to play you is about 6 minutes long, which is way longer than we normally play here. So I fully understand if you can't stick around. I will be here when the film ends with my usual mix of personal rants and stream of consciousness drivel. So if you can stick around, I'll see you on the other side of this. But it is a very good film. So take a look at this.
Let the game begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am S.H. Hyun from Product Marketing. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to attend this 2021 dealer conference. Behind me, you can see our premium Tier 3 model, HX520L. HX480L and HX520L have Cummins X12 Tier 3 engine with Lexus pump, and we have put our all cutting-edge technologies to these models. First of all, fuel efficiency has been highly improved by a new hydraulic system called IPC upgrade. If you operate 10,000 hours, you can save 30,000 liters diesel, which allows you to save $24,000 compared to 9 series models. With the HX series cabin and cowl, we now have cooler design and better convenience for the operators. Customized setting is available through 8-inch wide cluster. We expect to enhance the durability by 20%, with the arm width increased by 40 mm, variable shim bucket pin, and increased undercarriage components. Main filters are concentrated in RH side for accessibility. Serviceability has also been improved due to the reversible fan and always air cleaner. In order to meet the customer's needs, we have added new options such as AAVM, proportional RCV, and rotating piping. With HX480L and HX520L, Hyundai will be the major player in the 50-ton excavator global market.
Form a pair. This time it's marbles.
Next, we have the new model HX220HD produced in our India plant. Our India plant has started to produce HX210HD and HX220HD from this September. They are almost identical to HX210S, HX220S in terms of appearance, performance, and quality. The only difference lies in location where they are made. Not only do HX210HD and HX220HD share the same engine, main pump, MCB, and motors as our Korean models, but all of their components are also compatible. We are sure that HX210HD and HX220HD will provide even more value to you since their standard features include heavy-duty boom, arm, and lower frame. As already proved in harsh Indian market, there's no question of the durability of this heavy-duty part. Hyundai will gradually implement flexible production through overseas plants to meet customers' needs and the expected lead time. Now, what matters for us is not the location of production. Rather, it is our brand. made by Hyundai.
This is the final stage, tug of war.
Lastly, I'd like to show you our 9-series wheel loaders. Our 9S series wheel loaders will be integrated into 9 series from 2022. Equipped with Tier 3 engines, load sensing system, and bigger buckets, 9 series wheel loaders are now 11% more productive than 9S series. Operators feel more convenient with the newly added wing system and joystick steering option. Boom and bucket position setting is also available with a simple switch button in the cabin. Moving on to the appearance, frame and axles are colored in green-gray for a better visual effect. It looks more robust and durable. Dual master models are available on HL730, 740, and 757-9 with parallel linkage. They can be utilized in more various fields with telefork and grapple attachment. New options have been added on HL780-9, such as short boom, additional counterweight, heavy-duty axles, and axle cooling system for marble application. Now, we invite you to experience the upgraded performance and a variety of functions of 9-series wheel loaders. Thank you.
A couple of weeks ago, we brought you footage of a massive demolition excavator being delivered to German contractor Hagedorn with a great ceremony and champagne being popped on the tracks and all that went with it. Now, at the time, I promised you that I would bring you some footage of the Kiesel modified machine in action just as soon as it was in action. And unlike many in my line of business, I'm a man of my word. So, stand by and take a look at this. I want to talk about the environmental impact of demolition and construction. Now, before you yawn or yell, "Oh Christ, not again," I want to talk about an aspect of the road to zero that, as far as I can tell, no one else is talking about. So, after yesterday's show, I drove over to see my daughter, who lives just a few miles away from here in Dorking. There's a pub in Dorking called the Watermill Inn. I went there quite a few times actually back in my drinking days. That pub is currently undergoing a refit, and I drove past it yesterday. Actually, I drove past it twice because I couldn't actually believe what my eyes were seeing the first time. The Watermill Inn is not a big pub, so we're not talking about a major construction project here. In fact, in terms of plant, there was a mini excavator sat idle in what used to be the overflow car park, and there was an access platform that was being used by a painter applying an absolutely hideous shade of pink to the building's exterior. My guess is that within the pub there was probably a few more painters and decorators, maybe a plasterer or two. And yet the main car park of the currently unoccupied pub was rammed with cars. It was so full, in fact, that I made a point of driving back to the next roundabout and going back to take a closer look. There were 14 cars in the car park, and while I didn't study the matter too hard, I would guess that not one of them was electric or even a hybrid. Back in my day, long before myself and alcohol went our separate ways over artistic differences, alcohol wanted to kill me and I didn't want to die. The car park at the Watermill Inn didn't have 14 cars in it on a busy Saturday night. I know that many firms encourage car and vehicle sharing to minimize fuel costs, and car sharing is all well and good within a single company. But demolition and construction sites are rarely occupied by a single company or by a single discipline. My guess is that the Watermill Inn might currently have painters, decorators, plasters, glaziers, electricians, and maybe even plumbers as well, all working side by side, all of them from different companies. And while all of those individual companies and disciplines might have arrived together in one or two vehicles, by the time all those disciplines had arrived, the pub car park was full to bursting. Now, I say that not because of a lack of car park space. As I said, the pub was closed and I don't drink. But think about that in terms of carbon emissions from all those vehicles. As an industry, we're hurtling down the road towards greater emissions control with the advent of electric, biofuel, HVO, and hydrogen fueled equipment. But as long as the operators of those machines and those that work alongside them are arriving in petrol or diesel powered vehicles, we will continue to fall a long way short of our environmental ambitions. Now, when I wasn't counting the cars in a pub car park yesterday, I was watching the latest virtual event from the fine folks over at Doosan. This time, it wasn't an excavator or a wheel loader in the spotlight, nor was it the skid steers or compact loaders from the Bobcat range. In this instance, the focus was portable power, or more specifically, it was the company's latest offerings in the field of compressors, generators, and lighting towers. Here's a quick highlight. I have a question. Do you believe that the health and safety executive is actually fit for purpose? Do you believe that it's still capable of policing demolition and construction sites? Do you believe that it makes a meaningful contribution to site safety and to the well-being of those employed within this industry of ours? It will soon be the 6th anniversary of the Didcot disaster. 6 years without resolution or explanation. But it's not Didcot that I want to talk about. While I still firmly believe that 6 years is far too long to investigate such an enormous tragedy, I do recognise the complexities of that investigation. I realise there are thousands of tons of debris and twisted steel to sift through, hundreds of witness statements to go through as well. But instead of concentrating on Didcot, I'd like to look at something a little more straightforward. On the 22nd of January 2018, a man called Ronnie Alexander froze to death on a remote wind farm site in Scotland. He'd been working as a security guard when the site was cut off by snow and the heating in his site hut failed. He was ultimately found by Scotland's mountain rescue team. He was lying face down and hypothermic. He died later that day, having never regained consciousness. So here's the facts. The man froze to death because the heating failed. Mobile phone communications were known to be poor. There was no backup generator should the heating and lighting fail, even though that had happened several times previously. The only transport capable of getting workers off site, a four-wheel drive vehicle, had become trapped in snow. The contractor involved and the security company have now been fined a total of £868,000. In a little over 2 months, it will be 4 years since Mr. Alexander perished, cold and alone. And yet, despite the presence of multiple smoking guns, failed heating, no backup generator, no suitable off-site transport or communication, it has taken 46 months to move from tragedy to prosecution. Almost 4 years on what seems to be, at least to me, an open and shut case. How? Why? And believe me, this is not uniquely slow. I was talking to someone on LinkedIn yesterday, morning Mick, if you're here, about a fine handed down to a rail company after an excavator overturned. That too occurred in 2018 and has only just made it to court. And Mick raised a couple of very serious questions over the time it's taken to investigate that incident. Is the HSE swamped by serious infringements involving construction equipment? Are they struggling to cope due to resource cutbacks imposed by central government? And to that, I will add one third and overarching question. Is the HSE even fit for purpose? Now, I tend to think of wind power and wind turbines as pretty newfangled, but it appears that some of those turbines in west central Texas are already past their best before date. So who do you turn to when you have 21 3-megawatt wind turbines to get down in a hurry? Well, if you're sensible, you turn to Controlled Demolition Inc., or CDI as they're known the world over.